Hi everyone, the Greek Goddess of Great Reading here. Today I will be reviewing Captive by Aimée Carter, the second book in her Blackcoat Rebellion series. I read the first book in the series by Aimée Carter before I started doing these video book reviews. So you do have to read Pawn, it's called. You do have to read Pawn in order to understand what's going on in Captive. So for anyone who hasn't read Pawn, there will be spoilers in this review that relate to that book. So make sure you've read that one first before you watch this review. You know what I hate more than anything? When friggin' book retailers put the sticker on the book for the price and you can't take it off so easily. Like, my book just looks so bad now because of it. No matter how long my nails are, I can't seem to get it off. It's just gonna be there forever. Because this cover is really nice. Like, I really like the sort of maze-like look of the cover. I don't like to, because I like to take my books with me on the bus to read instead of being all in my iPod. So I take off the book jackets, and underneath the book jacket you see the whole face. I'm assuming it is the main character Lila Hart's face. And this kind of looks weird to be reading on the bus. It kind of looks like a Stepford Wives book, to be honest. On to the plot. For the past 2 months, Kitty Doe's life has been a lie. Forced to impersonate Lila Hart, the Prime Minister's niece, in a hostile meritocracy on the verge of revolution, Kitty sees her frustration grow as her trust in her fake fiancé cracks. Her real boyfriend is forbidden, and the Blackcoat rebels she is secretly supporting keep her in the dark more than ever. But in the midst of discovering that her role in the Hart family may not be as coincidental as she thought, she's accused of treason and is forced to face her greatest fear, elsewhere. A prison where no one can escape. As one shocking revelation leads to the next, Kitty learns the hard way that she can trust no one, not even the people she thought were on her side. With her back against the wall, Kitty wants to believe she'll do whatever it takes to support the rebellion she believes in, but is she prepared to pay the ultimate price? This book is sort of a post-apocalyptic, again, me with the post-apocalyptic, but they are in this society where people have to take a test at a certain age. I believe it's 17. They have to take this test, which is basically, it sounds like a really scary version of an SAT, and SATs are already really scary, so just imagine how much worse this one is. But they have to take this test at the age of 17, and then it determines their rank in society. So if you are a 4, you really want to be a 4 or higher than that. It goes up to 7. The only people who are 7s are the Prime Minister and his family. The only people who there's 6s and 5s, and they're kind of higher ups in the world. They do they're like ministers, and they just have government jobs, really nice jobs. 4s are not so bad. It's like, it's okay, you're still in the rest of society, but you're not forced to sort of, like, it's almost like you're starving and you're just at poverty's end. If you're a 3 or below, you do not have as many privileges as everyone else does in society. Kitty took this test in the first book, Pawn, and she ended up with a 3, which is branded onto the back of your neck so everyone knows what your status in society is. But the Prime Minister wants Kitty, because she has these eye colors, this color of her eye is very similar to Lila Hart, who is the Prime Minister's niece, and he wants to have Kitty be masked as Lila, and Lila is supposedly dead. We know from the first book that she is not, but according to the Prime Minister, when Kitty is masked, he believes that Lila is dead, so he is masking Kitty to be his new Lila. For whatever reasons, you can find out by reading the book. But Lila or Kitty, sometimes I just go between both of them. I do mean Kitty though, the character of Kitty. Kitty goes through the process of trying to understand what the revolution is about, and when she does, because at first she really doesn't want to be involved with it, she really doesn't even want to be involved in the Hart family. They really kind of forced her to mask herself as Lila and be a part of their family, but she hates it because it's so corrupt and no one is what they say, no one is truthful. But with the help of her fiancé Knox, they are actually part of the Blackcoat Rebellion, which is the rebellion that is trying to overthrow the government and overthrow the current Prime Minister, Daxton Hart, who is Kitty / Lila's uncle. In this book, it's very different Kitty's sort of surroundings, because in the first book you see her at the beginning in her sort of regular territory. She's in her group home, she's in the streets of DC, and then she gets put into the fancy, luxurious life of Lila Hart, and she gets to live in the mansion that the Prime Minister and his family live in. But at the end of the first book, the Prime Minister knows that Kitty, or Lila, is masked as someone else. So he knows that Lila is not really Lila. But the thing is, Kitty also knows that the Prime Minister is not really the Prime Minister. So they both have some leverage on each other. Who's going to use that leverage first, we don't know. But in this book, Kitty has been committed of treason, and she is thrown to Elsewhere, which we saw in the first book was a terrible place where you pretty much take, according to Kitty, you take whoever you want to pretty much execute, and you can hunt them like they're a wild animal. So barbaric and so cruel. Something only this crazy Prime Minister, again, crazy people are always in power. Why does that happen? But you can pretty much hunt them like wild animals to kill them and instill as much fear as possible in them, you know, something super sadistic. But Kitty ends up in Elsewhere, and it's not as bad as it seemed to have been in the first book. There's actually a sort of society. They're doing things that she questions a lot, because there are some questionable things being done and questionable rules and whatnot. But I guess the purpose of Elsewhere is for these people who are either criminals or who have grown up there their entire lives, because extras, as they are called, which is extra children, you're only allowed, I believe, one or two children in society. So if you have extra, they go to Elsewhere, or they the parents can pay a fine to put them in the group home, which was the case with Kitty. But others who don't have that money will send them to Elsewhere. So they've lived there their entire life. They don't know anything different. They think it's okay. It's not that bad as the first depiction of Elsewhere in the first book, but it is still very gray, very dark. Things are happening underneath the surface, very close to the surface, because if you sort of set off one wrong person, like a guard or Mercer, who is sort of the person who controls Elsewhere, you get shot, you get killed, you get forced to kill the one you love. It's just a mess. So crazy. This would only happen in a post-apocalyptic novel, but I love it. Sometimes I really want to kill Knox. Knox is Kitty's fake fiance. Knox knows who Kitty is. He knows she's not really Lila. So that's kind of a good thing. He's a leader of the Blackcoat Rebellion, so Kitty thinks. But there are some things he does in the book that make you question him, and you're like, oh my gosh, I hate you, Knox. Or you're just like, oh, you're really smart. You're really smart for doing that, Knox. But you're just so confused with where he's at. But I think it might just be because it's being told from Kitty's point of view, because Kitty isn't looking at the big picture. She only looks at her immediate safety, her friend's immediate safety, her boyfriend's immediate safety. She's not looking at everyone's safety and sacrificing the lives of a few for the lives of many. That quote that we've heard so many times before. But again, Kitty's not thinking of that. So Knox's actions, while she may think, and us as readers may think, that they are sort of terrible things to do, are in reality for the bigger picture. And Kitty's not seeing that. So from her point of view, Knox seems to be a major asshole a lot of the times in the book, but when he explains himself and sort of redeems himself throughout the book, you know that he is just doing this for the greater good, and Kitty needs to get on that bandwagon if she wants to be part of this rebellion and be the face of this rebellion, because she is the face of Lila Hart. Ta-da! Wardrobe change. Sorry, my battery ran out when I was doing the review, because I guess I had so much to say that I just used up all of my memory space. I am pretty much doing essentially 2 reviews because I feel like I have to explain sort of pivotal moments from Pawn in order to understand when I'm talking about Captive at this point. So I guess that's why it got a little long. I'm sorry about that. I'm almost done. Kitty is the face of Lila Hart, and something at the end of Captive that is sort of the cliffhanger will make that fact even more important for the rebellion, and will make Kitty an even more valuable asset in terms of changing people's minds about how to run their society. And she will have to prove herself, and will have to eventually distinguish herself from the pawn she was at the beginning of the series to the captive she became in this second installment to the queen she will be of society in the final chapter. If you guys like messed up societies and reading about them in post-apocalyptic worlds, Captive or the Blackcoat Rebellion series by Aimée Carter is a great book. Start with Pawn, obviously, and then get Captive. Queen is not going to be out for a while, but until then, you can just keep reading. I'm Evie, the Greek goddess of great reading, and until next time, keep reading.